So,
Well, that may-
good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Mhm.
It is just past 7:45 on Tuesday evening, 1st of February. This is Golden Speakers Toastmasters February 1st evening meeting. The mission of our club is to allow each member to develop verbal communication skills, leadership skills, and to progress as far as they are able on the path of increased self-confidence and personal growth. That is the mission of this club and the mission of every Toastmasters club. We have members coming in from Dallas, Texas, me no longer in California, in Fairfield, and many of you others in Fairfield. If we have any guests this evening, we'll ask them to speak briefly about their interest in what we do. I will turn the proceedings over to tonight's Toastmaster, Alex Gibbons, who will introduce all of the other role players tonight. Alex, take it away.
Thanks, Mr. President of Education, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. I'm very excited for our meeting tonight. We'll have a prepared speech by our friend Nick Kempney. And we have an exciting theme for our table topics, which is acknowledging mistakes. But first, I will start by introducing tonight's role players, and we will start with Bob as our timer. Bob, could you please explain your role tonight?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for handing that off to me. My role this evening as the timer is to time the events that's going on this evening. We'll start out with table topics. Table topics will be between 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, you'll get the green, minute and a half, yellow, 2 minutes, the red, and you have 30 seconds to wrap it up as usual. As Alex said, Nick will be given a prepared speech this evening. Nick, his time will be at 5 minutes, we'll get the green. 6 minutes, we'll get the yellow. 7 minutes, he'll get the red. And he'll have 30 seconds to wrap that up. Moving on to our evaluators for this evening. We will do 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, our evaluator will get the green. 2.5, yellow. 3, you see that, red. And we'll even give you 30 seconds to wrap that up for that. Then we'll move on to our final evaluator, our general evaluator. And since he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll give him 3 to 4 minutes. 3 minutes at the 3, or green, 3.5 at the yellow, 4 at red. And again, 30 seconds to wrap it up. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Bob. Our next role player is Dan. He will be our grammarian tonight. Dan, can you please explain your role?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As grammarian, I have 2 jobs. One is to come up with a word of the day. Our word tonight is remorse. As a noun, it's a feeling of deep regret, usually for some misdeed. There's also an adjective, remorseful, feeling or expressing pain or sorrow for sins or offenses. An example, the judge refused to give a more lenient sentence to a defendant who showed little remorse for his crime. So try to use one form of that word as you speak tonight. I'll keep track, and you'll get bragging rights if you use it more than anybody else. My other job, the coveted bragging rights, I should say. My other job as grammarian is to listen to the language that's used tonight, make note of any language or phrases that strike my ears particularly good or colorful. It's also my job to listen to make sure that grammar is used properly and to give feedback if not. I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you so much, Dan. I will also be the out counter for tonight. And in this row, I will note words and sounds that are used as crutches and pause fillers by anyone who speaks. So during the meeting, I'll be listening for overused words, including and, well, but, so, you know. And I'll also listen for filler sounds, such as and And I also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase. I'll give my report at the end of the meeting. Dan will also be our general evaluator, so he will be guiding us through the evaluations after the table topics. And Raul is going to be our joke masters, and we're going to have some make us laugh at the end. So to introduce, I'll turn to Jean, because Jean is the evaluator for our speaker tonight, so she can introduce Nick's speech for tonight and the objectives. Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. Tonight, Nick is going to be doing the second project in his level 1 path of visionary communication. This is a new project. I mentioned it in the email that I sent out because Nick selected a path after October 27th. The new level 1 that had some revisions. 2 new projects that are in that level was available. So I'm really interested and I'm happy that we're able to see how this looks, because any new members that will be joining the club, this is what they will be doing. The title of the project is Writing a Speech with Purpose. The purpose of this project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. In order to present his speech, Nick is asked by the project to write out a speech purpose statement. So this is what Nick has. The purpose of this speech is to inspire a greater appreciation of February. And by the way, the title is Welcome February. So it's to inspire a greater appreciation of February and all of life's moments that help us know what we want. The speech can be humorous, it can be informational, it can be, or any style that the member chooses. The speech content and the style should work well together. And it's just, his job is to write a well-written and clearly focused speech. It adheres to the speech purpose statement that I just read. So looking forward to hearing this and really glad that Nick is launching us on this project. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jean. And with that, I would like to introduce our speaker of the night. Nick joins us tonight on a mission. He's filled with purpose. He has taken February's challenge to heart and will let us in on its secrets in his speech. So let's introduce Nick with his speech titled, Welcome February.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and special guests. I have one question for you before I get started. Who woke up this morning and said, yes, it's February, all right? There's some dead faces out there. No hands up. Let me tell you, well, February put me to the test today, and I take it to heart. I will practice all of its lessons that I will tell you herein. You see, one lonely night, I was walking on the street and I went into an open mic. And there, in the series of performers, the host came up and said, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome February." Cold chill came down my back, and the people all around me booed and hissed. I just sat there and listened. February began in a surprisingly soft voice. "Hello, my name is February, often forgotten someplace between New Year's and spring. And when people do mention my name, I'm cursed for what I bring." She continued on. "I came cold, I came windy, but that was to drive you inside where it's warm. I'm a lonely month, but that was on purpose too. You see, I know your dreams. Every January 1st, oh, you love January 1st, don't you? You stay up all night partying, you make lists and resolutions. But come Monday, your thoughts return to yesteryear. I know your dreams. I love your dreams. I want your dreams to come true. But in order for them to come true, you need to go inside. Inside where the wind is but a whisper. And your heart and your mind can talk for hours on end each day. See, those dreams of yours, they're like baby seeds. They need somebody to water them every day, make sure that they're kept warm." February continued. "I came cold and I came windy. Because for me, February, contrast is my greatest tool. I sprinkle ice all over your garden. And you know what that does? That makes you dream of flowers in springtime. That makes you long for summer's BLT and that juicy tomato. I leave you all alone, so you have time to think about walking hand in hand with that special person, where everyone around you sees you radiating with joy because you're with the one you love. Now, most of all, I came here tonight to tell you my secret. Now, I've told it a few times before, but very few people have listened. They don't bother. My secret is that February is a very short month. And before you know it, spring will be here. Now, if you want a place to look to see that this is true, look at your retailers. See, right when the weatherman's calling for another blizzard to come in, they start putting out seed racks and hanging up rain jackets and putting out bright colored clothes. They know it's true. Spring is coming. So if you want that green that the market has, all you have to do is know that it's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, every night since I heard February talk, I've taken her words to heart. I love to go inside and sit next to the fire where it's warm, quiet down, and let my mind and heart dream together. And every time I'm feeling lonely, sad, bummed out, poor, whatever it may be, I just simply acknowledge that. And then start dreaming of the way I want it to be. Dreaming until I can see it come true. And most of all, I hold February's secret very dear to my heart. In the midst of all that there is today, my dreams are just around the corner. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll send it back to you, Toastmaster. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. This is beautiful. Let's take 2 minutes and we can, Bob, you're the timer, right?
Yes.
Give us 2 minutes so we can write our feedback to Nick.
Okay. Yep.
So much, Bob. So we will continue our meeting and Bob,
Yes.
Jean, would like to do the evaluation now or at the end? I think you are muted.
Like a little more time.
A little more time.
Just so we could go on.
Sure, sure.
Mhm.
Okay. So we will move to our next session, which will be table topics. And Rahul is our table topics master. Rahul, take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, friends, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. I would like to ask for volunteers to participate in an exciting theme of table topics on acknowledging mistakes. I have questions numbered 1 to 10, and I would invite a volunteer to choose one to participate and give table topics on. Sorry for my poor lighting setup right now. You guys can hear me, right?
Have a go, Rahul, if somebody wants to time me.
All right. Please welcome Bob as our first table topic speaker. And who has the bandwidth? Nick, do you have the bandwidth of timing him?
I can do it.
Okay. All right. It would be Alex. All right, Bob. So choose your number 1 to 10.
We're going to go 4.
4. All right. Okay. Interesting. Very, very lovely question. Now, what do you find difficult? Accepting mistake or assigning blame? What do you find easier? Accepting mistake or assigning blame? Please take it away.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Table Topics Master. What do I find the easiest? Accepting the blame, if I understand the question right? I would say, for me, blame is not as bad as it used to be. With age, I've become stronger mentally, and I've become stronger emotionally. Between children, bosses, ex-bosses, home people that I work for, as well as ex-wives, I've had my fair share of barrage of blame in this area and out that area. And typically, that's the way it works. However, in business, what I like to do when I'm getting blamed for something, I always take one finger, and shove it in his ear so I can hear it and make sense of it and have a good rebuttal, and which has allowed me to think on my feet. And it made me many a foe, many of irate homeowners saying, hey, it costs thousands and thousands of dollars. How are you going to do this? What are you going to do? My option, or my typical thing, I would say is, Jim, don't worry about it. I've told you we will take care of it. Yeah, but you made this mistake and it did this. Jim, what did I say? I said I would take care of it at no extra cost to you. You'd be amazed how much wind that takes out of the guy's sail when he's like, and you owe this. Jim, my guys are still learning. All right. I wasn't here at the particular time at that job. However, I stand behind my word. I stand behind what I'll say I'll do. In that light, I can take the blame. Now, the hard part of taking the blame is simply this, is how do I relate it to my employees that I don't go so irate that they just walk off, quit, whatever. This is a new skill that I have been learning, how to get the message to my employees without throwing a fit or to the point of firing somebody. If they need fired, they need fired, but getting the point across and keeping my cool. And as hard as it may be, I have to give them some kind of compliment about what they did good before I get on them what they didn't do good. It's a learned skill, but hey, here I am.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. That was some, again, good personal stories that I have loved to enjoy from Bob, as always. Who would be my next volunteer? Art, Nick, Dan? I haven't seen a raised hand yet.
Art raised his.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yep.
Art, your choices for numbers are between 1 to 3 and 5 to 10.
Once we establish who's going to evaluate me, since I am the table topics evaluator, I'll go with number 3.
All right.
So I need to hear who could do the evaluation of my answer to this next question.
How about Jean, you want to choose somebody, nominate someone?
For what? For evaluating?
Evaluating.
Gene, I am table topics evaluator, so.
Yes, no, I understand. I've got a little distraction here.
Um,
Dan, what are you doing? Okay,
Okay.
Dan will do it.
Dan
Thank
will be a.
Okay.
All right. So question number 3. All right. In your life, what had been your biggest regret or remorse? In your life, what had been your biggest regret or remorse? What particular lesson would you say you learned from that regret or remorse? Do you want me to repeat the question, Art?
No, I've got it. This brings up a poignant set of memories. This question is reminding me of the circumstances surrounding my divorce from my first wife. I realized after the divorce, some long time measured in years, I realized that the divorce was precipitated by my commitment to being right more than I was committed to maintaining a loving relationship. I was operating from the unspoken principle that the way you get love is to be right in the world. And my wife had different views on the subject, and they precipitated her decision to leave the marriage. That is the most remorseful decision that I ever corrected. But there have been others, but it leads by a long shot. Fortunately, I learned the lesson before I met my second wife, and things have gone differently and much better. That's it.
Thank you, Art. Who would be the next volunteer to raise their hand? How about Alex? All right. Alex, the question for you is, oh, sorry. You have the option of choosing numbers from 1 to 2 and 5 to 10.
I can go with the one that you're choosing for myself. That's good.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was reading the number 1 already. So I will give you number 1 if you're okay with that.
Good.
All right. As a child, when you were in school, what was your biggest mistake that you accepted in front of everyone that you didn't want to? As a child, growing up, what was your biggest mistake that you accepted that you didn't want to?
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. Just so interesting how the brain works, right? I was thinking of other options, but then only one thing came to my mind. And there was this incident when I was in school. I don't even remember how old I was. We were on a physical education class. And in Brazil, for some reason at that time, we had this thing when we were younger that if anybody had new shoes or new sneakers, especially like white, like, like a light color, and they would show up in class with the new sneakers, for some reason, I don't know why, we would always step on it, and to make it dirty, like just to give like a stamp. So that was a thing in our class, and that's what we did. But one day we were at physical education class, and it was in this beautiful gymnasium that was part of the school. And they had recently painted the whole gymnasium. And my friends and I, we decided that would be a great idea to do the same stamping of our foot in the recently painted white walls. So we did, and we had a great time, and it was all dirty. We went back to class, and soon enough, a little bit later, the principal of the school came to our class asking who did that, who were the people that were involved in doing that. And we had to turn ourselves in and we had to apologize to the whole school. And I don't recall if we had to paint or if we had to clean, but we did have to do something to redeem ourselves. So there was a lot of remorse on that action. And I think that's why it was the first thing that came to my mind when I got the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Who would like to be? Do we have enough time, Mr. Timer?
That would be up to the Toastmaster to make that decision.
Alex, do we have enough time on the agenda?
We do. We have 10 more minutes.
Okay, sorry. All right, so my next question, sorry, not the next question. Who is the next volunteer? How about Dan? Thank you. Looking at people, calling them up. You would be next. So Dan, you have the choice of number 2 or number 5 to 10.
About 7.
7. Have you ever let anybody else take the blame of something that you did? How did you feel? Did you acknowledge it to that person? How did you feel? Did you ever let anyone take the blame for something that you did? How did you feel? Did you acknowledge that to the person? I'm sorry if these are tough questions.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Topics Master. I'm recalling an instance from my childhood, and the story may be a bit convoluted. I'll dive into it and see if it will come out right. I think I was fairly young, maybe 10 years old or something like that. There was a neighborhood kid who was a bit older, maybe 15 or something like that, who generally didn't have a very good reputation around the neighborhood. For some reason, he decided that he was going to raise money by selling candy bars around the neighborhood. And for some reason, I'm not sure if he talked me into it or I just said, oh, what a great idea. Here's some money and you can use it to buy candy bars and then you can sell them around the neighborhood. So the odd thing about it was that, 10 years old, I only had a few dollars to my name, of course. And when my parents found out that my money was all gone, I had to tell the story of, well, Joey wanted the money to buy candy bars. The weird thing about it was that I was blaming him because it was so easy to do, but in truth, I think it was as much my idea as anything. So, of course, he got in trouble, but he got in trouble every other day. He had to go around the neighborhood and sell all the candy bars and give me my money back. And I never admitted that I was part of the whole arrangement. I never let on that I had been duped or it was my idea or whatever it was. I was kind of confused about the whole thing, but I definitely let him take the blame for something that wasn't his fault. And I had remorse. I never discussed it with him. I never apologized. I'm just bearing my soul now here, some years later. If he's still alive, I hope he's forgiven me. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Dan, for handling it so well. I had a comment on what Art said. Growing up in India, I only learned two things. There's no life without wife, and happy life, happy wife. And then the second thing is wife is always right. I didn't know if that was an apt comment, but Art, I hope it's okay if I share that. Because that's the very first thing that was ringing while you were sharing your truly emotional, table topics. I think Nick and Jean are left on the table topics bandwagon. How about Jean for the next question? Jean, you're on mute. I'm not happy with.
She's mouthing
There it
the
is.
words okay.
There it is.
Okay, Jean, you have the choice of question 2, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
How about 8?
8. All right. Okay. The question is, so this is related. Have you ever taken blame for something that you haven't done and you knew the person who did it? How did you feel, and did you talk about it to the person in concern? Have you ever taken blame for something that you haven't done? How did you feel about it? How did you feel about it? And have you talked to the person for whom you took the blame?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. I cannot think of a time when I took the blame knowing that I was innocent. It just doesn't come to mind. I am the person who would speak up right away and say, that was not me. This is what happened. Let's be reasonable. I'll show you why I couldn't have done it. It wasn't my responsibility. Somebody else's responsibility. Here is why. I just don't think that I have taken the blame for someone else. I don't think that makes me less noble than if I had, but it does say that I am focused on being truthful and helping others to understand facts and what actually happened. I just don't see that question really applying to me. Of course, my birthday was last week. I still have tread on my tires. It's possible that I will still have an opportunity to have this experience. So when I do, I will be sure to let you know. But at this point, I can't think of when it's happened.
Thank you, Jean.
And I have remorse for that because I wasn't able to tell you exactly what you wanted to hear.
That would not be counted, Jean. You did not spoke in your allotted time. Okay. All right. Do we have time for one more, Madam Madam Toastmaster?
I think we were done with the
All
time.
right. All right. With that, I would like to hand this meeting back to our very elegant Toastmaster who has been handling the duty very, very nicely. The only remorse, the only regret that I have, sorry for my pronunciation, the only remorse and the regret that I have is that I was not at the proper place and my lighting is not working. But I hope I did justice to the theme and you enjoyed the table topic session. With that, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Raul. Now, Bob, can you give us the time for if all our speakers qualify?
Art qualified, Alex qualified, Dan qualified, Jean qualified, and who was my timer?
I was your timer, you qualified.
I qualified. Well, there you have it. Back to you, Ms. Table Topics Master.
Thank you. So let's take a minute now and we can vote for our favorite table topic speaker. You can send that to me. Just put TT in front of the name.
Could I hear the qualifiers one more time?
The qualifiers will be Art, Alex, Dan, Jean, and Bob.
Okay.
Everyone qualified.
And as Jean always says, you can vote for yourself.
And
But only
so
once.
except for Nick and Rahul, you can vote for anyone, including yourself. And I don't know if we heard of whether Nick is the only speaker, but whether he qualified.
Bob would have that time. Do you have the time for Nick if he qualified?
Nick qualified. Yes, he did.
Great, awesome. So I'll turn the meeting to our general evaluator, Jean Craig.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. It's time now to have the evaluation section of the meeting. Which of our evaluators wants to go first? Jean for the speech, and is it Art evaluating table topics?
Right.
Okay, who's going first, Jean?
Dan, and
I
just
think-
to let you know, there is one more person. I think you're evaluating Art.
Yes, I'll throw that in.
The appetizer. I'll go first. Art, is that okay?
That's good.
Fellow Toastmasters, and yes, Bob, start.
Sorry, are we sticking to what we're sticking to, the 2 to 3?
Yeah, speeches are 2 to 3.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah, good. Thank you for clarifying. Start again. Oh. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and particularly Nick. Woohoo to Nick for getting this presentation going and having us see how he organizes it. The comments I have are broken into things he had excelled, in my opinion, things he might want to work on, and something to challenge himself with. First off, overall, I just want to say it was a very creative, original speech content. It's very impressed with just the whole angle and the flavor that he had in it in terms of being how it was constructed. But in addition, it was how it was delivered that was also very impressive. Things that I liked, that I thought he excelled at. I liked that he established right at the beginning, even with us as an audience, that nobody really likes February. And then that launched us into the whole theme of February telling us why actually we should be giving her a break. So that was, I thought, a very good way of pulling the audience in. He had, and I'm starring this huge amount of vocal variety and dialogue. So he gave us February's voice throughout. Within February's voice, he accented certain phrases like, I love your dreams. He I just had such a good feeling for how February was talking. She was almost talking like the way February is, sort of gusty at times and quieter at other times and inward. He had the dialogue from the open mic person as well. So I just liked that he incorporated dialogue of other characters. He had excellent use of pause throughout. He allowed a statement and then he allowed the pause to just add some weight and give us a chance to digest it, and then continued on. He had I really liked the contrast that he did. He actually sort of covered the whole spectrum of everything, because February is talking about how I'm cold and all that, but I'm right around the corner. February had a way of allowing all of us to then slide into the dreams of summer and walking with someone that we love, and all of those pieces. It was just such a great contrast of flavors. He had great word choices throughout. He talked about chills, and he made these word pictures that I really liked. And also his gestures. He had good facial gestures, and he also had some hand gestures, sweeping winds and things. That was really well done. I'd like him to work on eye contact, looking directly into the camera a bit more. I'd like a clearer delineation of February's voice and Nick's voice at the end when he goes off of February and comes back to Nick. It's a little unclear who was talking there right when he made that transition. Could talk about that. And I slightly adjusted his purpose, specific purpose. I thought specific purpose I tweaked it a little bit. You'll see it when I get it to you, Nick. To challenge himself, I'd say watch the post-meeting video to see additional gestures that you could use that would be within the frame of Zoom, and how you could maximize those, because you're definitely a gesturer. So let's get those optimized in Zoom. I'm no expert, but that would be my suggestion to challenge yourself.
Thank you, Jean. Now, Art is going to do the evaluation of table topics. Is 2 to 3 the time that you need, Art, or do you need to modify?
I have 4 people. I think I can do 2 to 3.
Okay.
Okay, when you're ready.
So, fellow Toastmasters, these were excellent questions from Rahul, designed, it seems to me, to dig into corners of our lives about which we may not be maximally happy. Bob Fogel launched into a brilliant discussion of the way he's turned this into a powerful tool in his business. He accepts responsibility for mistakes and has flat out discussions with his customers that they won't suffer the consequences of mistakes. They'll pay nothing extra financially for what wasn't done right the first time. Very good hand gestures, the very, very clear, direct answer. I don't have any suggestions for how Bob could improve it. Alex answered the question about her childhood experience, accepting blame that she didn't really want to. It was a very clear answer to a clear question. It took me a long time to understand what it was in the situation that made her not want to accept the blame. And I would, as a suggestion, just bring that earlier into the talk about why you didn't want to accept it. This would actually be a similar recommendation for Dan. He was talking about how did you dodge or shift the blame to somebody else. And he described a complex situation, which took me a while. I would have suggested establishing earlier on how it was that you had engineered a situation so that you could dodge the blame. That'd be my only suggestion for Dan. For Jean, she flat out never accepts blame where it's not due. And she is committed to the truthfulness of that and still feels the same. My suggestion for Jean in answering this question should have been she could hypothetically accept blame for something that she hadn't done as a humor technique. Say, you know, I don't ever do this because it would stick in my craw, but I could accept the blame for some hypothetical reason, for some hypothetical situation, as a way of saying this is something I would never do, but if I did, it would blow everybody's mind. I'm done then.
Okay, thank you, Art. I'm going to go ahead and throw in my 1-minute evaluation of Art's table topic before we move on. Art had a very personal story that he told us when he was asked about something that he had remorse about. It was a touching story, and it obviously had a lot of emotional content for us. We felt that with him. He told it in a very genuine way, and we felt that and felt the sadness of it too. But I think the thing that I enjoyed, other than a good story, was that he managed to bend it at the end to show us that he learned from that difficult lesson, and that with his second wife, he hasn't had that same problem. So even though a difficult story was related to us, we had a golden lesson learned at the end and more optimism about Art's life as he had learned from that first difficulty and then had a much better situation now. So I appreciate the talk very much. At this point, we're going to move on to the meeting reports. First, I'm going to ask our timer, Bob Fogel, to give us the time of everything during the evening.
We have to vote on evaluators. Oops. No.
Oh, sorry, thanks. Let's send a vote to Alex.
Depending on who's qualified.
Bob.
Neither evaluator qualified.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
I had a red card. I stopped as soon as the red card came up.
We were going 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. I understood we were doing 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then either qualified.
I have a lot of remorse for that, actually,
I have a lot of remorse for telling you that.
because I had a lot of good material, but I just couldn't get it all in.
I just can't. Those eyes looking at me. I'm sorry. I have remorse.
I'm just going to acknowledge my mistake. I have no one to blame but myself. I have to do it.
Okay. Let's hear the actual times, Bob. Give us your report.
Jean was 3 minutes 46 seconds. Art was 3 minutes 39 seconds. Dan, your general thing was 1 minute 21 seconds, if it makes any difference. Back to table topics. Art had 1:55. Alex had 2:19. Dan had 2:39. Uh-oh. I might have. Whoa. I let that slide there, Dan. Boy, I got a lot of remorse going tonight. Check my mistakes. And Jean, she had 1:49. And then Alex, what was my time?
Your time was 2:22.
Oh, all right. That is my report for this evening. Oh, one other thing I almost forgot. Our famous speech for the night, Mr. Nick Campy, he came in at 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Good job, Nick.
At least somebody qualified on time.
Yes.
Thank you, Bob. Let's hear from our counter. That was Alex.
Thanks, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. The report for the counter is Bob used 3 times the word "and", Art, 1 "and", Dan, 2 "and", 1 repeat and 2 "but", and Jean, 2 "and". I didn't catch anything in Nick's speech, so great job. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Alex. I'm going to give the grammarian's report at this point. For the word of the evening, remorse, we had good usage. I may not have caught all of them. It's the kind of word that is fairly common, so you don't necessarily hear them all. I heard Rahul say it 3 times, I believe. Jean twice, Alex once, Art once, Dan once, Bob once. If Nick said it, I missed it. So no one should feel any remorse about the number of times that they were remorseful.
Yay.
Phrases that are heard tonight. In Nick's speech, he said, at the beginning, he said, how many of you woke up this morning and said, all right, it's February? That stuck out. At one point, he said, a cold chill went down my back. That was colorful. February said, I came cold and I came windy. And at one point, toward the end, I believe he said, let my mind and heart dream together. Very nice. Bob, during his topic, said there was a barrage of blame going in this ear and out the other. And what else? I like Jean's phrase, I still have tread on my tires. That's my report. I'm going to call on Rahul now to give us a joke.
Thank you, Dan. Before I get on to the joke, I just have one quote that I want to read. It was one of my topic that I didn't get to ask. One person, his name is Messi Arias, defined maturity as apologizing when you're not at fault. Apologizing when you're at fault, admitting your mistakes, and learning how to not make them again. Once again, maturity is apologizing when you're at fault, admitting your mistakes, and learning how to not make them again. I thought it was an interesting quote, tied into the theme of our meeting. Now, moving on with the joke that everybody is waiting for. Now, this particular joke may or may not be a real life situation that happened to somebody who may or may not be present in this room. So, our world is going through a great pandemic. This pandemic had made us crazy. We are all becoming crazy with various kinds of thought, thinking about too many things, and often forgetting about many, many things. Now, this person, one person at a dinner, went to a very lovely restaurant. During his meal, while eating food, he felt the need to relieve himself. So he go to the bathroom, to the restroom. While going to the restroom, he made sure that he uses his elbow to open the door. Then he made sure that he uses his leg to lift up the toilet seat. He made sure that he used the faucet with the help of the tissue paper. He made sure that he used the liquid soap and washed his hand for entire 20 seconds. He even sang the song that they are teaching the kids in school these days. Now, then he went back to his desk. He followed the same procedure. He made sure he uses his elbow to open the bathroom door, and then be careful, covered his face, wear the mask, and went back to his table. When he reached his table, he remembered that he had forgotten to do what he had went for. He forgot to do the toilet. I hope it was pretty funny. If not, think about it. You will find the humor in it. And again, the biggest part which makes it funny is it may or may not be a real life situation which might have happened to a person who may or may not be present in this room. Back to you, Sachin.
What was that punchline again?
The punchline, this may or may not be a real life situation, which may or may not have happened to a person present in this room. So I haven't written that down, but I'll send it to you, Art, if you need it.
I think the punchline was that
Oh, sorry.
he took all that care
Oh.
to do everything, but he forgot to actually use the toilet.
Right. That's why I took it. Yeah. Sounds like my grandson.
Yeah, the punchline was that he actually went to use the restroom to do the business to relieve himself, but he forgot to do that and did every other thing because of pandemic.
Okay, now we've got it. So much for our evening's toilet humor. My job at this point is to give a quick evaluation of the evaluators. First, we had Jean evaluating Nick's speech. I enjoyed that Jean gave Nick some enthusiastic praise at the beginning, and I agree that the speech deserved it. I believe the main feedback that I'd like to give to Jean was that there were so many good things that you wanted to mention that Nick excelled at that you used up all of your time. So, but I agree with all of the things that you mentioned. I guess in that situation, you just have to edit it down so that you can still hit your time, and maybe give Nick some additional feedback in writing, of course, so that it gets communicated. There you go. There's the proof. Jean doesn't have to feel any remorse. Doesn't have to accept any blame.
I didn't do it.
There it is. It's in writing. But as usual, I'll say in closing that as usual, Jean showed how great of an evaluator she is, how carefully she listens, how well she can communicate back to a speaker, all the things they did well, and then illustrate some of the things that would make the speech even stronger. So great job. Our next evaluator was Art. He had to evaluate Bob, Alex, me, and Jean. In the first evaluation of Bob, he praised him for the various things that he did well, from a clear, direct answer to nice hand gestures. He repeated the main theme that Nick had, that Bob had, that the customer didn't have to pay for mistakes. And Art couldn't think of a suggestion. That's my main suggestion for you, Art, is to come up with something. I think in this case, you might suggest to Bob that when his customer is questioning him, that he uses some real emotion, some louder voice or something like that to really punch up that experience. In evaluating Alex, you praised her for her clear answer, but then said that it took you a while to understand exactly why it was that she didn't want to take the blame. So I thought that was valid and good feedback. But I think it was probably she just didn't want to get in trouble with the principal. There's a motivation for you. I'll say something later when I'm not on the clock. In mine, you gave me similar feedback, that it took you a while to understand where I was going. And I think that was good feedback also. You could have also said, incredible story, Dan, but that's okay. And then for Jean, you said that she never accepts the blame when it's not due, and suggested that she might hypothetically accept the blame and use it as a humor technique. I thought that was a great idea. So all in all, very good. I think there was some confusion between Art and the timer about the timing, but anyway, great job. And at that, I'm going to send the meeting back to Alex to give us the meeting awards.
Much, Mr. General Evaluator. We had a great meeting so far, so let's review who is takes home the trophy of our best speaker. So we have two, actually. We have two trophies to give away. First, for the best speaker for the presentation, and the drum rolls goes to Nick. Yay!
What a surprise.
Lagging. Okay, here we go. Whew. Here we go.
And for the table topic speaker, the winner is Art. Yay!
Go Art.
This is great. It was a great meeting tonight. Thank you, Nick, for your beautiful speech. You did a great job. And thank you, Rahul, for your questions for table topics. It was great too. Thank you, everyone who shared your stories. And with that, I will turn our meeting to our President, Art, for the closing comments.
I want to thank Nick for introducing us to a path that none of us apparently ever considered before. This path of visionary communication has some interesting properties, and we're finding out about those properties as you deliver these speeches, Nick. I am pleased to be back here having the meeting at local time 7:30, 7:45, rather than 5:30, 5:45 in the Pacific time zone. It's good to see you all, and I look forward to what we'll have on the docket for this coming Tuesday. So I adjourn this meeting until Tuesday, February 8th.
Okay.